Today, we're going to be covering Season 1 of Mob Psycho 100, which is composed of 5 major arcs. So without further ado, let's start with the Spring of Youth arc, aka the Introduction arc. The first episode of Mob Psycho 100 kicks off with an absolutely insane fight scene. We see a shadowy human-like figure effortlessly one-shotting a horde of bizarre monsters while a mysterious percentage counter ticks up. The fight rages on, and the moment that the counter hits 100%, the figure unleashes enough power to completely obliterate everything in the vicinity. A narrator then explains that the world is filled with supernatural phenomena that science can't explain, and those who fight back are known as psychics. Cut to the present, where we meet Arataka Reagan. He's accepting a request from a client to exorcise a spirit, and it's obvious that this guy is just trying to squeeze as much money out of her as possible. He starts yapping, throwing around random terminology to look like he knows what he's doing. But then, the woman's boyfriend walks in and calls it like he sees it. Reagan is super shady, and this is definitely a scam. However, Reagan is way too charismatic. He manages to smooth talk his way out of it, convincing them he's the real deal. So off he goes to exorcise this spirit. As they're walking down the street, we see this.
What an unbelievable aura!
It's right over here. Hold up. Did you just point at the wrong building?
Yeah. It looks like he is a complete fraud and just a massive con artist. But even after that generational sell, he still manages to convince them he's the real deal. I know he's a scammer, but you have to admit the guy is hilarious.
A man-shaped evil spirit almost walked through you!
Huh? What a close call.
The butt-chin goblin.
Once they're inside the building, a ghost actually spawns in. Reagan starts spamming salt, to which the ghost points out it's just normal table salt. If it's not purified, it's not gonna work. Yeah. So Reagan pivots and says he will call in his secret weapon. He makes a call and a middle school kid shows up. The kid walks in and casually one-taps the spirit. Yeah, this kid is a real psychic. His name is Shigeo Kageyama, also known as Mob. It's pretty obvious that this is the same black figure we saw at the start of this episode. And get this, he calls Reagan his master. Later, we see Reagan pocket the payment and give Mob a measly 300 yen. Mob asks his master why he called him over for such a weak spirit. Reagan just brushes it off, claiming he's so strong that he'd melt everyone around him if he performed a simple exorcism. Yeah, sure, buddy. But before Mob leaves, Reagan actually gives him some solid advice. Never lose control, and never use his powers against other people. Maybe he isn't that bad after all. Later at dinner, we see that every time Mob tries to eat, his psychic power is so strong he bends the spoon unintentionally. His parents just think it's a puberty thing. We also meet Mob's younger brother Ritsu, who fixes the spoon for him and says he's there if Mob needs to talk. The next day at school, we find out Mob sees every girl as a vegetable other than his crush. We also learn he's not good at academics and not athletic enough for sports. Later that day, Mob and Reagan head to a haunted tunnel to exorcise a spirit. Mob tells his master he's amazing because usually spots like these are fake, but this time it's the real deal. He can sense a really powerful spirit inside. Mob asks if Reagan feels anything. Reagan claims he can't because his nose is a little stuffy today. Yeah, that has nothing to do with sensing auras, but he claims it does when you're at quote-unquote his level. Mob notes there are more than 18 spirits. He starts taking them all down while Reagan is already trying to sneak out of the tunnel. But the next moment, Reagan runs right into the boss spirit. Yeah, he's cooked. Before Reagan is blown to bits, Mob steps in and blocks the attack. The spirit assumes Reagan is the one who blocked it. Reagan covers his hand in table salt and goes for a punch, but it doesn't do a thing. Mob melts the spirit until he's so tiny and weak he can't do anything. The spirit confesses he's not the real boss. The actual boss is even further down the tunnel, and they were just following orders. It turns out this guy was the leader of a biker gang who all died there because of a banana peel. Mob decides to go in and check. The now tiny blue spirit warns Reagan to stop him, saying that no matter how strong Mob is, he can't win because the evil spirit inside has lived there for hundreds of years. But Mob walks in anyways. A few steps into the darkness, he immediately gets eaten whole by the massive spirit. Oh no. Reagan and the tiny blue spirit watch in horror, convinced he's dead. But the next moment, Mob blows up the spirit without even moving a muscle. He walks back out, saying it wasn't even all that strong. With the evil boss gone, the blue spirit and his biker gang can finally pass on peacefully. He thanks Mob, and we get a surprisingly emotional resolution to their story. As the episode wraps up, we see Reagan is still conning his way through life, but he does treat Mob to a bowl of ramen for his help. The next episode opens with Reagan up to his usual tricks. He's conning yet another client, giving the guy a simple shoulder massage and claiming he lifted the curse that was making him tired. Easy money. Later at his office, Mob starts a conversation, which Reagan notes is a rare occurrence. Mob says he's grateful because Reagan not only teaches him how to use his powers, but pays him too. Then Mob asks, "Is this really okay?" Reagan immediately sweats bullets, thinking Mob has finally realized the pay is too low, or worse, that he's a fraud. But nope, Mob is just worried that he should be doing other things with his youth instead of working after school. Reagan just tells him to stop overthinking it and keep making money for him. I'm not really sure what to make of this guy. We cut to Mob's school, where a member of the telepathy club quits because he's tired of being treated like a weirdo. The student council president tells them that they need a minimum of 5 members, or the club gets shut down. They look everywhere, but surprise, surprise, nobody wants to join. Finally, they spot Mob and try to rope him in since he looks like he doesn't do anything. Mob declines because of his exorcist job, but just then, Reagan calls. The club president snatches the phone and argues with Reagan. After some back and forth, Mob says he'll think about it and heads off to work. And, yeah, he really has to dress like that for this mission. They're trying to infiltrate an all-girls high school. Of course, Reagan's disguise is absolutely terrible and he gets stopped immediately. But Mob actually manages to slip through. He heads to the rooftop to meet the clients, who tell him about weird noises, students disappearing, and objects floating around. He tracks the spirit to the gym, traps it inside, and enters. There it is. A huge creepy spirit that haunts the school just to spy on high school girls. The spirit throws a punch, but Mob casually blocks it and blows up its right arm like it's nothing. The spirit tries to take a hostage to escape, but Mob isn't having it. He jumps in and slices it up, successfully exorcising it. As the spirit's consciousness fades, it tells Mob they are the same because they both get flustered around girls. It says he was finally starting to have fun after death, but now it's all over, and asks Mob if he's living his life to the fullest. We see later that Mob is deeply troubled, really thinking about what the spirit said. The next day at school, just as Mob is about to join the telepathy club to save them, the student council vice president barges in. He declares that the room will now be used by the newly formed Body Improvement Club. He turns to Mob and starts grilling him. Why would he want to join a loser club like the telepathy club that doesn't do anything but goof around? He bombards Mob with questions, trying to pressure him out of it. This totally overwhelms Mob. He starts spiraling internally. What does he actually want to do? Does everyone else have something they are passionate about? Does he want to do something? Then he remembers he does have a dream. He wants to confess his love to Tsubomi and hold hands with her. We get a flashback to when they were little. Mob used to show Tsubomi his Esper powers, but eventually she just got bored. After a school race, she started being all lovey-dovey with the guy who won and stopped hanging out with Mob. He thinks if he joins a club, maybe Tsubomi will notice him again. So he makes up his mind. He's joining the club.
Thank you for having me, Body Improvement Club.
Welcome aboard! Good to have you!
Thank you!
And now that we're done with the Spring of Youth arc, we are moving on to the next one, which is the Cult arc. Episode 3 kicks off with Mob running outside with the Body Improvement Club. And yeah, he's not doing very good. It isn't long before he completely passes out. We cut back to the club room where the ex-members of the Telepathy Club are still whining about losing their space. The captain of the Body Improvement Club, Musashi, walks in carrying Mob. He's surprisingly chill. He tells them they can keep using the room since they are mostly outside. He drops off Mob and asks them to look after him. Tomei asks Mob why in the world would he join the Body Improvement Club. He explains it's because he's not athletic and relies too much on his psychic powers. Of course, she doesn't believe he actually has powers, so he casually floats some dumbbells around to prove it. Seeing this, Tomei gives a long speech, trying to convince Mob to help her research telepathy. But Mob is like, nah, I have to pump some iron. Tomei keeps yapping, and manages to plant the idea in his head that muscles won't get him what he wants, and he needs to read people's minds. Mob takes this to heart and goes to ask Reagan about telepathy. Obviously, Reagan doesn't know anything, but he immediately figures out that Mob just wants to read a girl's mind. Later, while walking home, Mob thinks about how he doesn't really care about being popular. He just wants Tsubomi to like him. Suddenly, he gets approached by a creepy woman wearing a mask. She's another fake psychic, and even after fumbling her pitch twice, she somehow convinces Mob to come with her to find a solution to his love problems.
I can sense these things. You're worried about your studies, right?
My grades are just fine.
But it must be hard dealing with family issues.
Actually, I don't have any.
It's about love.
That's amazing. How did you know?
He goes to a shady organization called LOL, a cult dedicated to making everyone laugh. Inside, he spots Mezato, a girl from his homeroom class, and there's also a random guy with them. The boss, who goes by Dimple, comes out and starts ranting a bunch of nonsense. They put smile masks on people, and we find out Mezato is actually there to investigate the religious group and expose them. Word on the street is that they use hypnosis to brainwash people into joining. The boss decides to demonstrate on the gloomy-looking guy. The moment they take off the smile mask, he starts uncontrollably laughing. It's giving Smile Fruit vibes. If you know, you know. The next second, someone slaps a mask on Mezato. She immediately rips it off, but she can't help but laugh. Oh no. But when Mob takes off his mask, nothing happens. The boss is completely shocked to see it didn't work on him. As Mob is about to head out, Dimple starts yapping desperate to keep Mob there. He somehow manages to convince them to participate in a try not to laugh staring contest. And the only reason Mob agrees is because they are holding milk in their mouths instead of water. And Mob loves milk. Round 1, he wins. Easy. Round 2, easy again. Round 3, yeah, he sweeps that too. So Dimple decides he has to step into the ring himself, but since he can't break Mob's poker face legitimately, he does something to the milk, causing Mob to spit it out. That actually pisses Mob off. He unleashes a wave of power that instantly lifts the smile curse from everyone in the room, but Dimple frantically uses his powers to brainwash everyone back into submission. We see flashbacks of a young Mob being told by friends that he can't read the room and asking why he always looks so bored. Back in the present, Dimple goes all out, using his psychic powers to force Mob's facial muscles into a smile. But no luck. Mob tells him straight up, his powers can't make him laugh. He isn't even fighting it. He just can't do it even if he wanted to. Dimple takes advantage of that and starts taunting him, saying he has no emotions and he's just an empty shell. That hits a nerve. The counter shoots up to 92%. Things are about to get rough. Dimple finally reveals he is actually a high-level evil spirit. We learn that Mob suppresses his emotions deep inside his heart, where they expand little by little, but there is a limit to how much he can contain before they leak out and go wild. And right now, a specific emotion is overflowing, which is rage. The counter hits 100%, and Mob explodes with power. Dimple is flabbergasted by the sheer scale of his Esper powers, but the spirit is still extremely overconfident and thinks he can take this little kid down in 2 minutes. He charges at Mob and tries a few attacks, but he slowly starts to realize the gap in their strength. It's only a matter of time before Mob literally taps him with 2 fingers and blows him to bits. After the dust settles, we see their cult leader was just a human being possessed by Dimple. Mob heads back to the office to talk to Reagan about all of this, and he actually drops some pretty solid wisdom. He tells Mob he doesn't need to find things fun just because other people do. Their definition of quote-unquote fun doesn't have to be his. As the episode ends, Reagan tells Mob to be proud of himself because he saved a group of people that only he could have saved. If you're enjoying the video so far, consider leaving a comment since it really helps support the channel. And that is the end of the LOL cult arc. So now we're moving straight on to the Teruki Hanazawa arc. The next episode opens by showing us a middle school gang that just got beaten up by a rival school. Desperate, they call in someone named Teru. We cut to the rival gang, and they are completely busted up. Teru has single-handedly taken them down. And this guy Teru gives a monologue about how he will take advantage of everything in this world because he is the main character. We cut to Mob, who just woke up and sees a small green spirit floating in his room. He smacks it around a bit to check if he's dreaming. Turns out, this green spirit is actually Dimple. He hadn't fully disappeared that day. He goes on a big rant, and we learn this guy wants to become a god, which is why he started that cult. But after being destroyed, he learns something important. To be a god, he needs stronger psychic powers. So he asks Mob to team up with him. Yeah, Mob just looks at him and asks if he has any more final words. Dimple immediately panics and begs for his life, saying he won't do anything bad. Mob walks off, saying alright, but that he'll talk about this with his master. Internally, Dimple is plotting to eventually steal Mob's body. After school, Mob goes to Reagan. Dimple immediately connects the dots and realizes Mob is being used by a total fraud, but he keeps his mouth shut. Reagan claims the spirit must be too weak for him to see, so he tells Mob he can do whatever he wants with it. Mob tells Dimple to not cause any harm, and he won't erase him. We cut to Misato interviewing Mob's brother Ritsu about Mob's psychic power. Ritsu explains Mob has had it since birth. Misato yaps about the incident at the cult and how Mob could get really popular if he showed the world his power, but Ritsu is not interested and walks off. We find out Ritsu is the exact opposite of Mob. He's popular, gets good grades, serves on the student council, and is good at sports. But back at home, we see the truth. Ritsu doesn't care about any of that. He has always wanted to be an Esper like Mob, but he just doesn't have any power. The next day, he decides to walk to school with Mob and asks why he doesn't use his psychic powers more often. Mob replies that there isn't usually a chance to use them. He is unintentionally rage-baiting Dimple, who is floating and screaming. What the hell are you talking about? You can use psychic powers to make everything in life 10 times easier. Mob then admits he envies Ritsu because he is social, can read the room, and excels at everything. We cut to that delinquent gang from the Salt Middle School approaching the Body Improvement Club. They say their club has the strongest people at Salt Middle and want them to help them take down the gang from the Black Vinegar Middle School. What the hell kind of names are Salt and Black Vinegar? The Body Improvement Club shuts them down immediately, saying think fighting is dumb and that they don't work this hard for something so petty. One of them tries to charge at them, but he gets one-tapped as Mob is just admiring their muscles from the back. Later, Mob finds a love letter in his locker. Dimple says the whole thing is definitely fake. And yeah, it's Onigawara's doing. He sent a fake challenge letter to the gang from Black Vinegar to lure them out.
I wrote "I'm a girl" on it to seal the deal. And I added a heart.
Back at the Body Improvement Club, the members find a letter saying Mob has been kidnapped, so they head out to Black Vinegar Middle School to get Mob back. We see Mob has been tied up by the Black Vinegar gang. He has no clue what's happening. Dimple tells him to just use his psychic powers, but Mob doesn't plan on breaking the rules. Suddenly, the Body Improvement Club bursts in and takes down some of them easily. They start heading out with Mob, but Black Vinegar has a reputation to uphold. They decide to jump the Body Improvement Club. And yeah, the delinquents are no match. All of them start getting packed up. They can't even land a single hit on them. But then Teru comes in. This guy goes on a massive ego rant, saying stuff like one doesn't take the spotlight because they are the star. They are the star because they take the spotlight. That's literally like Geto asking, are you Satoru Gojo because you're the strongest, or are you the strongest because you're Satoru Gojo? Teru proceeds to fling everyone across the map. Onigawara charges at him, but what the hell? None of his punches are landing. It's almost like he's got Gojo's infinity. This guy definitely has Esper powers just like Mob. Onigawara gets blown up by Teru, and as the dust clears, he sees Mob still standing there. Mob looks him in the eye and simply tells him not to use his psychic powers against people. Episode 5 starts by showing us that Teru is completely flabbergasted seeing another Esper because his whole life, he thought he was the chosen one. He hits Mob with a powerful blow, but nothing happens. As Teru starts charging up another attack, Dimple is screaming at Mob to fight back, but Mob just stands there. Dimple keeps yapping about how Teru is living his life to the fullest with his psychic powers, while Mob's life is lame and boring. Mob then gets a flashback of his master, saying that they are gifted with special powers. What does he mean by they? Then he says everyone else has their own unique skills. You know, some are good at sports, some are good at math. Anyways, the whole point is that they shouldn't let their powers get to their head and think that they're special or above anyone else. People who can sing, people who are good at sports, people who are good at math, those are all unique powers, and you can't put one over another. And depending on how one chooses to use their power, it can become a deadly weapon. Mob responds to Dimple, saying he doesn't want to live a life solely relying on his powers. The next second, he gets hit really hard and starts flying across the field. Teru grabs him with telekinesis and starts beating him up, throwing him around, breaking everything around them while calling him a fool for not using his power and worrying about stupid stuff like working out and studying. He rants about how he is special, better than others, and the entire world revolves around him. Yeah, this guy needs to be humbled. Dimple steps in. Seeing that Mob won't fight back, he says that even though he lost most of his power, he shouldn't have a problem dealing with a brat like Teru. The next moment, he gets erased. Dimple is gone. Mob's counter goes up. He starts thinking about the time he spent with Dimple. We cut back to the present, and Mob says it doesn't really bother him that much. But then Teru starts trash-talking Dimple and rubbing it in, and he starts to get under Mob's skin. Mob fires back, saying Dimple wasn't perfect, but he was a better guy than Teru. That sets Teru off on another rampage. He keeps going at him, completely wrecking the school. Mob is just pleading with him to stop because he could hurt somebody. Teru wants Mob to use his powers, but Mob refuses. After that, Teru picks up a bunch of knives and throws it at Mob, but they just deflect off of his shield and slice the top of Teru's hair right off. Haha, this is mad funny. It shaved Teru's head completely bald on top. How does that even happen? Of course, it was an accident, but Teru thinks Mob did this on purpose to mock him and starts tweaking out. Mob still just keeps telling him to stop, insisting he won't fight back because he could hurt him, and reiterating that just because they have psychic powers doesn't make them better than anyone else. Teru says that Mob is the only person who could make that argument because he's also an Esper, and that is the very reason he is pissing him off. Mob tells him they are the same. If they both lose their psychic powers, they will be just another loser on this planet who won't leave a mark on this world. And Teru is scared of that. That makes Teru tweak out even harder. He rushes at Mob and starts choking him, screaming at him to use his psychic powers. Mob keeps saying no, but we can see his counter go up. He starts getting small flashbacks of how he severely injured a lot of people as a kid after they hurt his brother. The counter climbs to 100% as he's telling himself that he's going to change and learn to control his powers. And the next second, Mob passes out. Teru thinks that he won, lets him go, and starts walking off. But surprise, surprise, the next moment Mob bursts open with power, and we see the percentage isn't a number. It says %%. Mob hits him once, and all Teru's clothes get disintegrated. Then Mob starts sucking Teru's psychic powers away. Teru sees the deep darkness inside Mob, something that should have never been awakened. We see Mob's power wrecking the entire building. After everything calms down, we see Mob break down in tears for breaking his own promise. He failed to change himself and caused another accident because of his psychic powers. The counter reaches 100% again, but this time it represents sadness. He uses his powers to undo all the damage to the school. Teru just stands there, accepting his defeat as all of his minions run off. As the episode ends, we see Mob looking for any trace of Dimple before heading home. He apologizes to his brother about that accident he caused with his powers way back when. Ritsu says not to worry about it because Mob didn't hurt him. He got hurt because one of the high school thugs kicked him, and Mob protected him. But later we see Ritsu thinking back to himself. Back then, when Mob lost control, it wasn't his brother. It was something else entirely. With Teru defeated, we are moving on to the big cleanup arc. Episode 6 kicks off with a flashback to Mob and Ritsu's childhood. Little Ritsu asks if he will also get psychic powers, and Mob assures him, saying of course he will, because you're my younger brother. That wakes Ritsu up. Being thirsty, he goes to drink some water and tries to control the water with some psychic powers. But no, still nothing. We cut to Reagan, who is doing his usual shtick, conning a guy by pretending to channel his dead father. But Reagan fumbles the act a few too many times, and the guy starts to catch on. Pulling a knife in anger, Reagan instantly uppercuts him, knocking him out cold, and claims it was self-defense. Mob, watching this, asks if it's for self-defense, is it okay to shave off someone's head, rip off their clothes, destroy their pride, and make them lose their friends, and completely destroy the school they go to? Yeah, Reagan admits that's a bit beyond self-defense. Mob tells him that sometimes when his powers go out of control, it gets too dangerous, and he doesn't want them anymore. Reagan reminds him of just how many people he's helped with those powers. It's not just about the negatives, it's all about how you use it. Later, we see Misato interrogating Mob, convinced that the supernatural destruction at Black Vinegar Middle School was his doing. Mob refuses to talk about it, so she leaves. We see Tomei getting way too excited hearing there are other espers around and tells Mob that they are going on a date to hunt for other psychics. That evening, Ritsu gets approached by a guy claiming that he can teach him how to improve his psychic powers. Yeah, the guy definitely confused him for Mob.
What is it? Another Esper?
No, I just thought this guy had a really unique hairstyle.
Oh, wow, you're so right.
The next day, the student council president, Shinji Kamuro, tells Ritsu that despite having extraordinary abilities, referring to his academics and reputation, he tries to avoid the spotlight, and tells him to stop acting like his brother. That comment hits a nerve. We cut to Mob running with the Body Improvement Club. And hey, he actually got better at running. His stamina has improved. Meanwhile, Ritsu heads to the address for the Awakening Lab. Back on Mob's date, he actually senses an adult Esper, but the aura is so intense and sickening that he lies to Tomei and says that he was wrong to avoid trouble. Back at the facility, Ritsu meets the other Esper kids. I mean, they have powers, but they are so weak they can barely do anything. Maybe they'll get better with training? Ritsu decides to play along, desperate to know if there's any power within them. We then get a glimpse into Kamuro's life. In a nutshell, his family is incredibly toxic. He is constantly compared to his older brother, who got better grades than him, pushing him to the brink. The next day, Kamuro calls Ritsu into the classroom. He reminds Ritsu about cleaning up the school's image and getting rid of the delinquents. He lays out a plan: steal a girl's recorder and plant it inside of Onigawara's desk to frame him as a perverted thief. He pressures Ritsu to help him clean up the delinquents and make this school a better place. Ritsu is overwhelmed with conflicting emotions and doesn't know what to do. We cut to Onigawara, who has actually joined the Body Improvement Club. He is genuinely trying to better himself and stop being a low-life thug. Back in class, the student council announces a surprise bag check to find the missing recorder. The moment Onigawara walks in after his run, they frame him. They claim all the girls' recorders were in his desk and accuse him of being a pervert who was going to lick them. And yeah, nobody is going to believe him. After all, he is known as a delinquent. Ritsu, having succumbed to the pressure, had actually planted the evidence earlier. Onigawara looks around, hoping someone will believe him. He spots his childhood friend, but she doesn't have his back.
Guess what? One day, we're gonna get married, Tenga.
That'll never happen! Don't be stupid! That's right, Mariko.
So gross!
Later, at the Asper facility, Ritsu is deeply bothered by what happened. The guilt is eating him alive. He tells the group he has no psychic powers and leaves. As he's walking home, Reagan spots him and tries to start a small conversation, but Ritsu brushes him off coldly. Back at the facility, the researcher realizes Ritsu might have been wrong about himself, because the spoon Ritsu threw is completely crushed. As the episode ends, we see Ritsu is about to walk into his house, and he sees Dimple. Yeah, Dimple is not dead and he has finally awakened his psychic powers. And now that we're done with the big cleanup arc, we are moving on to the last and easily the best arc of the season, the 7th Division arc. And trust me, you're gonna want to stick around for this one, because things are about to get crazy. The next episode opens with word spreading fast about Mob taking down the shadow leader of the Black Vinegar Middle School. Since nobody knows who that actually is, they've started calling him the White Tea Poison. And of course, now everyone wants to take him down to prove that they are stronger. Yikes. Cut back to Dimple, who explains he was able to crawl back from particle level all by himself, but now he's extremely weak. In fact, low-level spirits can't even enter the Kageyama house simply because Mob lives there, and his aura is too strong. Dimple thanks Ritsu for letting him in and points out that the fact Ritsu can see him is proof that he has finally awakened his psychic powers. He hands Ritsu a bunch of spoons to bend. Ritsu panics, thinking there is no way he can do it, and starts tweaking out. But the next second, he looks down and all of the spoons are twisted up. He's shocked, but undeniably happy to have awakened his powers. Dimple tells Ritsu to join him so he can help him surpass his brother. The catch? All Ritsu has to do is let Dimple use his body. Uh-oh. Later that night, Dimple tells Ritsu to close his eyes and relax. In that moment, he dives in to take control. However, he's so weak right now that while he can enter Ritsu's body, he can't actually control it, but it does give Ritsu a small power boost. Later at school, as Ritsu helps the student council president take down more delinquents, he reflects on what Dimple said. His power awakened because of an intense shift in his emotional state. He knows deep down it's because of the guilt from what he did to Onigawara and some other students. Later at home, he realizes that corruption and guilt are fueling his power. It has increased even more after framing more innocent people. Later, Ritsu gets jumped by a group of students for planting false evidence in their friends' backpacks. But with his new power, he easily takes them down. Then he runs into Teru. Teru has had a complete character change. He warns Ritsu that if he depends on psychic powers, he will get hurt and hurt others. Ritsu, high on his newfound ego, wants to fight him despite Dimple warning him not to. Ritsu is quickly forced to realize the massive power difference between them.
Don't try to fight him! Let go now!
Having trouble standing, are you? You're so young.
He barely manages to dip when a gust of wind almost blows Teru's wig off. Meanwhile, Mob gets dragged into a shop by a shady saleswoman. She makes him hold a one-of-a-kind rare vase, and then intentionally bumps his elbow to make him drop it. Mob manages to catch it with his psychic powers, but she hits his arm again, so he breaks it. Mob starts panicking because he can't pay for it. Reagan swoops in to save the day. The two scammers demand 5 million yen, but they don't know who they are dealing with. The moment one grabs Reagan's collar, Reagan starts screaming in agony, claiming the guy cracked his clavicle and that the hospital bill will be 1 million yen. The scammer freaks out. Reagan keeps piling it on. Verbal abuse causes psychological damage. Another million. The guy has bad breath. Another million. His loud voice is causing ear damage, another million, and he wrinkled Reagan's shirt, so another million for garment damage. Total, 5 million yen. It cancels out what Mob owes for the vase. Reagan tries to leave with Mob, but the scammers aren't letting them go that easily, so Reagan bluffs, claiming he has an evil spirit taunting him and threatens to transfer it over to them. They laugh it off, but suddenly all the light bulbs explode and the room starts shaking, which makes them back down. Later at dinner, Reagan praises Mob for shaking the room. Mob is confused. He thought Reagan was actually controlling the spirits. Another fumble. But nothing Reagan can't talk his way out of. If it wasn't Mob, what could have possibly done that? Back at school, Onigawara is in the Body Improvement Club room. The student council president Kamuro comes in and starts trash-talking him, but the Captain Musashi defends Onigawara, saying he didn't do anything wrong and that he was framed. Kamuro was going to keep arguing, but they have bigger problems. Random delinquents keep coming to the school to fight the White Tea Poison. So Ritsu has been secretly taking care of them with his powers. Later, Kamuro gets beaten up by some thugs who mistake him for the White Tea Poison. He complains to Ritsu, but Ritsu coldly dismisses him. It happens again the next day, and Kamuro eventually breaks down and locks himself in his room. Later, Ritsu gets jumped by a huge gang. As he fights them off, Teru watches from a distance. Realizing Ritsu is pretending to be Mob, Teru wonders how to talk some sense into him. Meanwhile, the purple-hooded adult Esper from earlier is watching everything play out, planning to kidnap the White Tea Poison. Uh-oh. As the episode ends, Mob finds his brother standing over the defeated gang members and asks him what he's doing. The next episode opens by revealing that it was actually Teru who grabbed Mob and brought him to the alleyway to show him what Ritsu was doing. Mob looks at the carnage and asks Ritsu what he's doing there and why all of these people are on the ground. Ritsu coldly tells him that he took them down with his psychic powers, but Mob doesn't believe him. He says there's no way he did all that, so Ritsu gets ready to demonstrate. Dimple realizes this is about to get messy and says he doesn't want to be a part of this and leaves Ritsu's body. Teru also decides decides to dip too because he doesn't want to watch two siblings fight. Ritsu rants about how he doesn't need Dimple anymore because he finally got the hang of his power and can control it on his own. To prove it, he attacks Mob. He misses slightly. But when Mob sees it, he's genuinely happy for his younger brother, who says, "You finally got your psychic powers. That's great." Mob starts reminiscing about their childhood, but Ritsu shuts him down immediately. He is completely consumed by power. He rants about how he couldn't handle his inferiority complex, so he gaslighted himself into thinking it was just admiration. He says he always lived in fear because they could never have normal fights as brothers, because if Mob lost control, it would be suicidal. Jeez, how can he say all that to his own brother? Ritsu rants about how he worked so hard for so long and got nothing, while Mob got god-tier powers with zero effort. But now that he has power, his delusional admiration is gone. He tells Mob their buddy-buddy act ends now and yells at Mob to hit him with full force. Yeah, you do not want that smoke. No wonder Dimple dipped. Mob just says he knows Ritsu doesn't mean all that and he's lying to himself, before walking up to him and saying he has to help take care of him. Then Mob turns to the thugs Ritsu beat up and apologizes to them. The thugs get even more cocky seeing this and tell Mob to get on his knees and grovel. And he actually does it. Over on the side, Ritsu is crashing out. He can't understand why a god-tier Esper would bow to trash like this when he could easily beat all of them up. We cut to the Awakening lab. Someone has broken in, kidnapped all of the Esper kids, and calls their partner, the guy in the purple hoodie, telling him to hurry up, grab the target, and get back. The purple hooded guy, Koyama, jumps down and grabs Ritsu, thinking he's the white tea poison. Ritsu tries to fight back, but he gets slammed into the ground instantly. That really pisses Mob off. His counter starts going up faster than ever, but Koyama just punches Mob and sends him flying. Before leaving with Ritsu, Koyama tells everyone to grovel before him or he'll kill them all, just abusing his power for fun. As he's walking off with Ritsu, we see Mob has gotten back up. Mob charges at the purple guy with all of his psychic power and punches him so hard he gets pushed into the ground. But oh, this guy is actually crazy strong. They throw hands for a bit, and Koyama pulls out his ultimate move and charges at Mob. It actually damages him bad. He can't breathe and looks like he's about to pass out. Yeah, this guy can break through Mob's barrier. Finally, Mob has some serious competition. At this rate, Mob might actually die. Ritsu can't take it anymore. He screams at Koyama to stop hurting him. He wants the white tea poison, right? So just take him and leave Mob alone. But Koyama is a total freak, so he punches Ritsu in the face too just for fun. That's the last straw. Mob says it's the first time this is about to happen while he's still conscious. In the blink of an eye, he pulls Koyama into his hand, grabbing his face, ready to crush his skull to bits. Ritsu looks at him and knows that guy is done for. Mob drags him up high into the sky, ready to chuck him at the ground. Koyama tries punching Mob, but of course, no effect. And then we get to see one of the coolest scenes of Season 1. Just have a look at this. Mob lands, thinking it's over, and is about to go home with Ritsu. But surprise, surprise, Koyama is still not down. This guy is seriously tanky to take a hit like that, but he knows he's getting folded in a fair fight, so he decides to pull a cheap trick. He uses some special spray that acts like knockout gas. Mob inhales it and passes out instantly. Koyama prepares to kill the witnesses, but then Mob stands up. Koyama starts tweaking out because that spray was his trump card. Terrified of this unknown power, he grabs Ritsu and runs away. The thugs thank him for saving them and realize he's actually completely unconscious. Dimple finally arrives with Teru as reinforcements, but they are too late. Ritsu is gone. We cut briefly to Reagan doing his usual shenanigans, unaware of the chaos. Mob wakes up later at Teru's place. Teru drops the lore. We know who these guys are. They are an organization called Claw, formed by the strongest Espers, and there's over 100 of them. While many groups want an Esper farm, Claw is the only one that succeeded. They kidnap children with potential and brainwash them into becoming soldiers. At their core, they aren't as powerful as naturals like Mob and Teru, but their numbers and technique make them really dangerous. Mob says he doesn't care about any of that. He is going to save his brother. Dimple suggests they check the research facility Ritsu went to, since Claw probably got their intel from there. They arrive to find everyone knocked out. They question Mitsura, but he turns out to be just a rich kid who threw money at psychic research to get powers himself. He doesn't know anything, but they do get some information which might be useful later. As the episode ends, we see Ritsu and the other kids being transported head deep into the woods to a secret facility. The next episode starts by revealing Claw sent another Esper to kidnap Mob, but this guy realizes if Mob joins, he'll be stronger than him, so he decides he's just going to find a way to get rid of him instead. Uh-oh. We cut back to Mob and the others. Taro decides he will help Mob out with this one. He's confident the next attacker will be here any second. And just as he says that, yeah, they spawn in. We cut to the Claw hideout where Koyama, the purple hoodie guy, and Sakurai are yapping. Koyama claims if he was serious from the get-go and didn't let his guard down, he could have killed Mob. Sakurai says even though the guy they send isn't stronger, he is a very cautious man with so many tricks up his sleeve that he can easily capture Mob and torture him into joining. Just as he says that, we see that guy is the one getting drowned by Teru and forced to answer their questions. Yeah, this guy stood no chance against them. He spills everything. But Teru thinks, ain't no way he just gave up all that info so easily. We cut back to the Claw hideout where they are having a meeting. We see a lot of upper rank Espers with different personalities and learn the boss is coming to Japan next month. We cut to the kids who were kidnapped. They try to act like it's all a big misunderstanding and claim they don't have any powers, hoping Claw will let them go. But the goofy looking Claw member Muto ain't falling for it. He pulls one of the kids out and tells him to drop the act, but the kid doesn't, so he drags him to another room. We hear the kid scream in agony. And the next second, he walks back and throws the dead body in front of them. Yeah. These people are extremely dangerous. We cut back to Mob and Teru, who forced that other Claw member Terada to leak the hideout coordinates. They arrive at the spot, and Terada immediately makes a run for it the moment they step out of the car. Teru is like, whatever. We beat him so bad he'll probably never want to mess with us again. But Terada activates his psychic powers, air whips. He starts ranting about how with a range of 60 meters, Mob and Teru can't do anything in the dense woods. Teru is actually getting a bit overwhelmed by the long range attacks, so he yells at Mob to use his powers. Mob just steps up and casually one-taps him while realizing there's a lot of ways to use this power. Later, back in the cell, Ritsu is trying to convince everyone to escape. We find out the square-headed kid is actually alive. He and his older brother can telepathically communicate, so he knows he's safe. The brother reveals he was shown a glimpse of all of their bodies, meaning the dead body earlier was definitely an illusion. Ritsu pulls out a spoon and tells the kid with flame powers to heat it up. It takes him a while, but eventually he manages to do it. They shove the hot spoon in the keyhole, give it a twist, and it works. But the low-level guards are still right outside watching them. The other kids are scared because they know their powers are too weak to fight. So Ritsu walks out of their cell into the CCTV blind spot. He rage baits the guards into coming after him by calling them low-level thugs and takes all of them down effortlessly. The other kids ask why he didn't just break the lock with his powers. Ritsu explains they had to make the guards believe that they are weak. Now whoever is watching the CCTV will just think they are being disciplined for trying to escape since they are in the blind spot. Damn, he's smart. We cut to Mob's team. Teru has already mastered the air whips just by watching Terada use them once, and takes out the guards instantly, letting Dimple possess one of their bodies. They make it inside, take out a few more low-level guards, and find out the kids are held in the basement. Even though they try their best to destroy the CCTVs and stay in the blind spots, the other Claw members figure out that there is an intruder. As the episode ends, we see Mob and the others are about to have a rematch with Koyama, but this time Mob isn't his usual self. He knows he can't hold back against someone like this. Mob looks Koyama dead in the eyes, goes all out, and takes him down in seconds. The next episode opens with Kaito held in a room full of low-level guards. They are all distracted, so Ritsu and the other kids sneak in and rescue him. Just as they are about to walk out undetected, they get spotted. It looks like they are all about to fight, but the leader of the guards stops his minions and tells them to just let the kids go. The minions are pissed, but the boss snaps at them. He explains that the difference between a natural Esper and a normal human is night and day. He's been working here for over 20 years, and he knows for a fact that if they fought those kids, they would have gotten absolutely clapped. Meanwhile, Dimple runs into a bunch of guards. He tries to talk his way out of it, but no. They all attack him at once. But even in Dimple's weakened state, he's able to take them down with little difficulty. He walks into a room and we find out it's their awakening room. It turns out it's just full of torture machines because Claw awakens Esper powers in people by torturing them. Yikes. Dimple yaps about how even after all that pain, their Esper powers are still so weak that it's basically meaningless, and how the world really does favor the gifted. As he's saying all that, he runs into a high-level Claw member. By the way, the elite ranking is called Scar because they all fought the boss of the Claw and survived with a scar. Dimple realizes he can't take a Scar on in his current state, especially since this guy Matsuo captures evil spirits and uses them as pets. Yeah, his power is basically Geto's cursed spirit manipulation from Jujutsu Kaisen. If you know, you know. So Dimple starts running for his life. We cut to Teru, who is tearing through the facility, taking down low-level guards left and right. But the next second, he gets jumped by a Scar named Miyagawa. This guy is no joke. His pyrokinesis is overwhelming. The inside of Teru's barrier is getting crazy hot, and if he drops it, he's toast. But Teru locks in. He grabs all of the flames and compresses them inside a barrier with Miyagawa, burning the guy to a crisp. But the next moment, Sakurai and Meraki ambush him and Teru gets knocked out. We cut to a little girl named Mukai who finds Mob. She found Mob with her puppet manipulation and goes over to deal with him. But in the next second, she runs back crying to Tsuchiya. Mob obviously one-tapped all of her puppets, so Tsuchiya goes to deal with him. She lands a solid blow on Mob. She's crazy fast and strong, but that doesn't really matter when you're fighting someone with power like Mob. His overwhelming raw power can crush anyone without needing technique. Mob could easily take her down, but he starts crying instead. Mob says he doesn't want to fight her because his master taught him that all men who hit women are the biggest losers around. Tsuchiya is impressed by his code, calling him a gentleman, but she gives him permission to go all out and fight her fair and square. So Mob obviously one-taps her too. Next up is Takeuchi, who everyone hypes up as one of the strongest Scars, but he also gets one-tapped by Mob. Mob finally finds Ritsu, but he's unconscious. He got beaten by a mysterious orange-haired kid named Sho. Mob is pissed. His counter shoots up to 92%. Suddenly, another Scar named Muto approaches him. He says he will show Mob even greater despair free of charge and uses his powers to show Mob a horrific illusion of Ritsu dying. Yeah, that is the last thing he should have done. The counter goes up faster than ever. Mob explodes with power, but it's not just a random burst of power. Sho watches from the shadows and realizes Mob instinctively took the illusion, amplified it, and reversed it back into Muto's brain, which caused both of them to pass out. The Mob we know would never do something like that, so there is definitely something else inside of him. We cut to Matsuo, who walks in holding a jar. Inside that jar, he has trapped Dimple. He explains that inside that jar, hundreds of evil spirits consume each other, and the last one standing becomes the ultimate pet. Yeah, Dimple is basically dead for real this time. As the episode ends, the other kids are about to escape the facility, but just then, the boss shows up. Yeah, he was supposed to come by next month, but I guess he changed his mind. His aura is so intense, it literally freezes everyone in their tracks. Things are about to get crazy. Episode 11. We see Reagan trying to look for Mob using GPS since he hasn't been answering his calls. After that, we get a flashback of Mob and Ritsu as little kids lost in the woods. Mob is panicking, but Ritsu, being the genius he is, figures out which way is north by looking at where the moss grows, since it grows in places where the sun shines the least. Mob wakes up in the Claw hideout. He doesn't remember what happened. Ritsu is hesitant, feeling guilty about everything he said earlier, and he's really worried about Mob, but Mob just hugs him and says, "I'm so glad you're safe." Mob just wants to go home, but Teru says that they are trapped in a room with anti-Esper technology. He's tried everything, but they are powerless here. But Mob isn't worried. He says it's alright. Ritsu is really smart. He doesn't need psychic powers to figure things out. Ritsu sheds a few tears as he apologizes. We cut to the Scars. Ishiguro, the 7th Division captain, is yapping about brainwashing the captured kids, but Sho is completely against it. He refuses to let them turn decent talent into junk and argues that they should be recruited to HQ instead. Then we cut to Reagan. This man is casually walking up to the secret villain hideout surrounded by guards. He starts acting all important and serious, demanding to be let in. He yaps about discussing quote-unquote work matters with his subordinates. The guards get confused. They know Ishiguro is the leader, so if Reagan is Ishiguro's boss, that means Reagan must be the boss of Claw. Ain't no way he just pulled this off. This guy is actually built different. He acts nice, and the guards are hyped because Ishiguro usually tortures them. Reagan walks in like he owns the place. He runs into the captured kids and uses his maxed out acting skills. He gives a heartfelt moral speech that actually makes the guards feel bad for kidnapping children. Back with Mob's group, Ritsu says that they just need to wait until someone comes to check on them. The door opens, and they prepare to fight. But wait, it's Reagan. Teru can't sense any Esper powers from him, but after Mob called him master, he thinks Reagan is Mob's master and the boss of Claw. Ritsu is just shocked Reagan managed to fool all the guards. They try to leave, but they run into Ishiguro and the remaining Scars. Reagan tries to talk his way out of it, but Ishiguro ain't having any of that and goes for the kill. Mob and Teru save Reagan barely in time. Reagan, clueless as ever, takes him a while to finally realize that there are other Espers beside Mob. Ishiguro uses his gravity powers to pin Mob against the ground. It looks like Mob is about to be crushed into nothing. Reagan walks up and kicks Ishiguro in the face. He yells at Mob, reminding him it's dangerous to use psychic powers against other people. Then Reagan starts gaslighting the Scars, trying to convince them that he has really strong hypnosis powers. He's so confident confident that the scars actually get nervous. Reigen even lands a punch on one of them. Sakurai has had enough. He draws his sword to slice Reigen in half, but Teru pulls him out of the way. Now the scars are getting serious. Reigen's plan has backfired. His verbal skills won't work on people who just want to murder him. Ishiguro fires a black hole, and Mob barely saves Reigen. The fight is on. Teru is struggling against Sakurai and yells at Mob to fight back, but Reigen yells, "Don't use your powers. I'm the adult here. I'll deal with this." Mob is getting overwhelmed with emotion. His friends might die, and he's not doing anything. His counter is climbing rapidly. He starts to think that if he can save his friends, he doesn't care what happens to the people attacking him. Just as he's about to go berserk on the claw members, Reigen slaps him. He grabs his face and says, "I'm warning you. Don't do it. If you use your powers, you'll be the one suffering in the end. And when things go south, it's okay to run away." We get a flashback to the day Mob met Reigen. A young Mob walks into the office, saying he can't control his powers. Reigen thinks it's a prank, but when he spills his hot tea, Mob catches it midair with telekinesis. Reigen realizes that this kid is the real deal, and then he talks with him, saying that just because you have powers doesn't make you any less human. Some people are fast, some are smart. You happen to be psychic. It's just a characteristic. You must embrace that and live positively. Be a good person. Back to the present, Mob relaxes, trusting his master. But the next second, Sakurai slices Reigen's back. Mob watches his master fall. The episode ends with Mob's counter hitting 100% again, and this time, there is no one left to slap him back to his senses. We are finally in the last episode of season 1, and let me tell you, it is the best one yet. Mob says he doesn't want to hurt people, but he knows if he doesn't, everyone is going to be killed. He's stuck. He realizes that to protect his friends, he has to do it. But just then, Reigen gets up like nothing happened, shocking everyone. He starts dusting himself off and asks Sakurai what kind of cheap trick he was using to cut the concrete walls earlier. Sakurai is confused and tries to chop Reigen's head off, but the sword just bounces off his neck like a toy. Then Reigen casually grabs the blade and snaps it in half with his bare hands. Sakurai can't even process what's happening. Matsuo launches an attack with all of his evil spirits. Wait, what? Can Reigen actually see them now? He gets punched in the face by a massive spirit, but it felt like nothing. He casually one-taps the spirit. Meraki tries to jump him with all of his clones, but Reigen just swings his arm, making them all vanish instantly. Reigen thinks these guys are just total frauds using 3D holograms and magic tricks. Ishiguro gets pissed off and starts chucking massive gravity orbs at him. And we find out when Reigen snapped Mob out of his rage earlier, Mob didn't just stop. He transferred all of that built-up emotional energy to Reigen, but it wasn't rage anymore. It was pure gratitude. We see the counter reach 1000% gratitude as Reigen slaps the black holes away like they are nothing. Yeah. He can temporarily wield Mob's power. Ishiguro goes all out, hitting Reigen with a full combo attack. But when the dust clears, Reigen is perfectly fine. He grabs Ishiguro by the face and chucks him into the wall so hard his mask comes off. Sakurai charges at him again, but of course, nothing happens. Reigen tells him to stop playing with toys, which sends Sakurai into a full rant. He talks about how he was abandoned as a kid, bullied relentlessly at the orphanage, and cursed the world. That rage awakened his powers. Reigen looks at him with a deadpan expression and says, "Yeah, we are like brothers." Sakurai thinks Reigen has a tragic backstory too, but Reigen says, "Back in grade school, I forgot to tell my parents it was sports day, so I was the only one who had nothing to eat." Sakurai tweaks out. He can't believe Reigen is comparing a missed lunch to his tragic childhood. He pulls out a gun. Doesn't work. He uses the sleep spray. Also doesn't work. Reigen stands there and roasts them. He critiques their goofy costumes and goes on his usual rant. No matter what kind of special powers you have, you are still just a human. After this quote-unquote heartfelt speech, he manages to drag them out of their delusions and back into reality. But Ishiguro gets back up. With his mask off, we see he's actually just a really old man. He screams, rejecting everything Reigen said. He goes on a rant, but Mob and Reigen just say it's all BS and everything he said will never happen. This makes Ishiguro lose his mind completely. He charges up to kill everyone. Reigen's powers fade. Mob is also tapped out. It looks like they are cooked. But then Sho appears out of nowhere and punches the old man, sending him flying. Ishiguro tries to fight back, but Sho is on another level. He's able to control his powers so well, he might be able to handle Mob's raw strength. He effortlessly takes Ishiguro down. Sho looks at Mob, says he's disappointed in him for being a coward, and claims he was sent to recruit anyone with potential. Since nobody here is quote-unquote worthy, at least on the inside, he just dips. Meanwhile, Matsuo is yapping about his jar, saying he has his ultimate pet now. He opens up the lid and, yeah. It's Dimple. Dimple somehow ate all of the other spirits inside that jar. The next day, life goes back to normal. We see the student council president decide he's going to apologize to Onigawara. He knows everyone will hate him once the truth comes out, but it's for the best. Onigawara forgives him, realizing his own bad reputation was partly his fault, and decides to work on bettering himself. Teru is now training the psychic kids and teaching them self-defense in case Claw comes back. Reagan lost the god-tier powers, but he kept the ability to see spirits. Later at dinner, Mom thinks about why Sho called him a coward, but then decides, who cares what some random guy thinks anyways. As the first season ends, we cut to Sho answering a phone call. He reports what happened to the 7th Division, and Claw isn't all that great of an organization like he thought it was. Then he tells them to hurry up and come back to Japan. And the crazy thing, the person he's talking to is his dad. The 7th Division and Claw was just the tip of the iceberg. The real threat is coming, and the next 2 seasons are about to be even crazier. So make sure you subscribe to catch the Season 2 recap, and leave a comment so that more people can find this video. With all that being said, if you're looking for more content from us, we're gonna be covering the entire story of One Piece and recapping some extremely underrated anime. But we need your help finding them, so make sure to join our Discord server. The link is in the description of the pinned comment. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.